Hello friends, this is Worm, starting a new series called Makeover Monday, where we take some exotics that don't get a lot of love and we talk about what makes them not up to standards, and we go over some ideas on ways that Bungie could maybe bring them back into the fold. Again, not make them overpowered, but just make them usable in some way, shape, or form. And as you probably saw on the screen right now, we're going to be talking about MIDA Multi Tool today. And I picked MIDA Multi Tool because MIDA Multi Tool was one of my favorite exotics back in D1, and when D2 initially launched, it was absolutely amazing. Like, it was a very, very good weapon, but it has since fallen from grace, and I took it in and I just played a couple different activities inside of PvE, and I really, it wasn't doing it for me. It did not feel good. You know, people can say, oh, well, it's a speedrunner's weapon, but at the same time, I think they're just better speedrunning weapons. So let's talk about how we can actually improve MIDA inside of PvE. Now, before we go any further, I do want to acknowledge that, yes, MIDA Multi Tool is a PvP weapon. Like, it feels like it's built to be a PvP weapon. It definitely has those PvP weapon vibes. The catalyst is obtained through PvP, and you actually have to complete it in PvP. So yes, it is a PvP weapon, but I still think that there are some things that Bungie can do to it to make it better inside of PvE. So of course, let's take a look at what actually makes it not feel very good. And the answer is really, really simple. It doesn't have anything outside of the standard 40% damage boost that exotic weapons get to red bar enemies. Like, it has no other perks that really make it feel different. Take something like Outbreak Prime. You know, Outbreak Prime has the Siva nanites. You have, what's another weapon? Suros Regime has the, unique receiver that allows it to shoot faster. It can heal you. MIDA Multi Tool doesn't have any of those things, right? Like, the only thing its exotic perk does is it makes you move faster, which does feel good. Like, that definitely feels really good, but at the same time, I don't think that movement is really an issue inside of Destiny 2. Like, even when I'm playing on a really slow class like my Titan, I don't feel like, oh, I wish I had more mobility and I wish I could move faster. And the reason why is because as time has gone on, we've moved past being quick, and everything has to be fast and just feel really, really smooth and buttery, and that's literally what MIDA Multi Tool's exotic perk does. It makes you move faster, right? It maxes out your mobility. I want to say it gives you a sprint speed multiplier as well, like similar to like Dune Marchers or Transversive Steps or Stompies. Not quite entirely sure on that, so correct me if I'm wrong, but that's all it does. It also has Third Eye, which allows your radar to stay active when you're ADSing, which again, that's really nice, but it's better in PvP as opposed to PvP. So that's what makes MIDA to me feel like it's just not really that good inside of PvE, right? It's kind of been power crept by other stuff, by even legendaries. I mean, take a scout rifle, say a Vouchsafe, for example, with, rapid hit and multi-kill clip. Like, that's going to perform better than MIDA Multi Tool. It's the same archetype of weapon. It's just going to perform better. Not only that, but MIDA is a 200 round per minute scout, and 200 round per minute scouts have that lightweight frame on them. So really, MIDA is not giving you a tremendous bonus over something like Vouchsafe, right? And that's the problem that I see with it. Now, of course, how can we actually improve it inside of PvP? Well, I think that we're looking at a bunch of options here, and I've been playing with some ideas in my head today. But of course, the primary complaint that I have is it has no functionality outside of its movement speed. And I kind of want to start with the movement speed bonus, because I think that's part of the weapon's identity. Like, we can't just remove the bonus to the weapon's speed or anything like that. And I wouldn't want to, right? Like, that makes MIDA definitely feel unique, but I think that we can add on to it. And I think that maybe, we could add something like a perk like, what was it back in Destiny 1? Battle Runner, I think is what it was. Battle Runner, where as you got kills, it actually increased your movement speed. But for MIDA Multi Tool, perhaps instead of just increasing, your movement speed, which is already maxed out, by the way, with MIDA Multi Tool equipped, give you a substantial sprint speed booster, right? A scaler for your sprint speed. That way, you get a couple kills, and then you want to move around the battlefield, for example. Okay, so you get a kill, then it gives you that 10, maybe 20% sprint speed booster, which I know that's probably difficult because Bungie, when they added Arc 3.0, they said they already like tuned up their sprint speed as fast as it can go when you're amplified. And so being amplified on top of having MIDA might be confusing, but that actually leads me into another point. Perhaps with MIDA, even though it's not arc, maybe it could be a weapon that getting multiple kills or maybe multiple precision hits or something like that can grant you amplified, right? That way you're moving quick with MIDA, but then you get amplified so you can go basically max speed everywhere. And it's nice because it's a primary. It's it's able to be used on any class, just like the moth gun. I forget the name of the moth gun, but that also can, give you amplified outside of arc. But I think that could potentially be an option for MIDA Multi Tool, but I think it still needs more. Like the sprint speed booster is really nice, don't get me wrong, but I think it needs some more. And I think that's the best way that Bungie could honestly go about making MIDA Multi Tool into something that is like just makes sense, is to make it the multi tool. Like that's the name of the weapon. That's always been what it's all about in Destiny. It's like, its description. It says, it's got all these different tools and stuff in it, and I think that Bungie could give it some perks or give it a unique perk that allows it to fill every role. Maybe not the best, I'm not saying it needs to be the king of all, but give it a jack of all trades kind of perk. Give it, a perk with rampage built into it. Give it a perk with, maybe precision instrument built into it, right? That way, I have MIDA Multi Tool equipped. I can kill ads, and I can get more efficient at doing so with rampage. I can deal damage to bosses with precision instrument, that way like I can deal more precision damage, and give it maybe a bonus scaler as opposed to the normal one. I think normal precision instrument caps at 26%, not the enhanced version, just normal one caps at 25 or 26%. Give this like a 30%, 35% cap to its precision instrument, right? But let it fill all those roles. Let it be the multi-tool that we want it to be. It makes us move fast. It has okay ad clear, decent ad clear. It has decent damage / champion handling. I think that just making it a multi-tool would help it so much. And I think that it really would see more play. Again, would it take the place of some of our, top contenders like Wish Ender? Probably not. Definitely not. Would it take the place of, some of these other exotics that are used very frequently in builds? Absolutely not. But again, that's not the point. Like, we don't want to buff exotics so that they like overtake the meta. We want to make them more viable inside of various levels of content. So I think that giving it a perk that allows you to handle ads better, allows you to handle bosses better, would be an excellent, perk to have. You could also throw in some sort of team support. Maybe, getting rapid hits with it debuffs an enemy by like 5%. Nothing crazy, but or landing rapid hits against an enemy will grant your teammates a small damage bonus, like 5% damage boost. That could be something that we could be looking at. Again, it fits that multi-tool identity. Every single thing that we do, multi-tool, right? It's a multi-tool. So let it do that. Bungie, please let it do that. Now, I also think that, another idea I played around in my head with is class abilities. Right, and abilities, and of course I thought, well, maybe Bungie could give it Demolitionist and Pugilist and all this stuff. I don't necessarily think that we want a weapon that just has every perk in the game on it. Like, yes, that would be cool. It would be so cool to have a MIDA Multi Tool and it has Demolitionist and it has Pugilist and it has precision instrument and rampage and insert whatever other perks you want. Right, and it just has it all. Like, I don't think that that's necessarily what we want, even though that would be cool, because again, that would be the multi-tool. It's in the name, but I don't think that's necessarily what we want. But I think that something with like maybe some type of class ability regeneration built into MIDA Multi Tool would also be very beneficial. It's a tool, right? MIDA Multi Tool could be a tool. It's your exotic. It does ad clear. It has like a rampage. It has a precision instrument. It can debuff enemies, not super debuff, but just a small debuff, right? It can lightly debuff enemies. It can, buff your teammates, small amounts. Let it buff your class ability too. Every kill you get gives you 10% class ability energy, right? I think that would actually be a really, really cool thing to do for MIDA Multi Tool. And again, it would make it something that people would want to use in various levels of content. Now, another idea that I have, of course, because it's a multi-tool and it should be able to handle any situation, give it the ability to stagger all types of champions. And I know we've talked about this on the channel before, and we talked about why Bungie doesn't do it, but there are like 2 or 3 weapons in the game that I feel like should 100% have all 3 champion stunning capabilities. MIDA Multi Tool is one of those, because again, it's a multi-tool. You bring it into a Nightfall. It doesn't instantly pop barriers, you know, it doesn't instantly stagger, unstoppables. It doesn't instantly, overload your overload champions, right? But it can do all 3. So if you're sitting there and you've got a barrier and an overload on the battlefield, and the barrier puts up his barrier, you can start shooting him, and it either prevents him from healing, or it can eventually break the shield. Well, you got an overload Minotaur, for example, coming at you. Then you can start shooting the Minotaur, and after landing a couple shots on him, then it stuns him, or something like that. Like, I think that would be just a really awesome feature for Bungie to have added to MIDA Multi Tool. And I think that if Bungie did that alone, they did nothing else, none of the previous changes, and if they just gave it the ability to stagger all 3 champion types, you would 100% see it be used in high-end content, right? But again, I think that it needs some of those other boosts, because just staggering unstoppables is not enough, in my opinion, to bring it into the fold, right? Like, we need a little bit more, But moving on from there, I think that MIDA Multi Tool also, like, if you wanted to, you could somehow build it so that it is affects your kit, right? And I think another really neat idea that we could have is give it a perk like Osmosis, right? So when you throw your grenade, it turns MIDA into Arc, Solar, Void, Stasis, Strand, whatever. But not only does it turn it into that, but it also grants a subclass specific weapon perk to that weapon. So let's say you're using Void, right? You're using Void and you throw your grenade, it turns MIDA Multi Tool into a Void weapon, and it gives you destabilizing rounds. Or let's say you're using Solar. Your MIDA Multi Tool starts dealing solar damage after you throw a grenade, and as you get kills, enemies will explode, right? Incandescent. Again, this is something that's, does it make sense? Would it be easy to do? I don't really know, but it would be that multi-tool. It could fit into your kit no matter what you were using, right? If you're using Strand, it would give you Hatchling. If you're using Headstone, it could give you, Stasis, it could give you Headstone. If you're using Arc, it could give you Volt Shot. I think that would be a really neat idea for MIDA Multi Tool. And I don't think that we should necessarily combine all 3 of these ideas into one, but pick 2 of these ideas, the Jack of all trades perk that allows you to deal more precision damage and, deal more damage against some miners, your champion stunning, and then of course your Osmosis type perk that would allow you to transform MIDA and get that damage, or that subclass specific perk on it. Like, adding 2 of those options to MIDA would turn it into an absolute monster, right? Or not an absolute monster, but it would turn it into a decent weapon, something that is actually viable inside of various levels of content. And again, like, I love MIDA. Like, it was one of my favorite guns back in Destiny 1, and it was actually really good in D2 as well. It was really good in D2, but some changes happened and stuff, and now it's just okay, and it's mainly used for PvP, which I did want to touch on PvP briefly real quick. I think that MIDA inside of PvP is pretty fine where it is, okay? Because here's the thing, like, it is a PvP style weapon, moving around the map faster, strafing faster, those are all good things. The radar perk Third Eye is very, very good. The only thing that really holds MIDA back inside of PvP, in my opinion, is the fact that it's a scout rifle and it's a 200 round per minute scout rifle. Sorry. So I think that's like a 0.8 second TTK or something like that. Like, it's not a horrible TTK, but at the same time, it is a scout rifle, and people just don't use scout rifles a whole lot. But otherwise, I think that in PvP, it is fine where it's at. So yeah, that's my thoughts on MIDA Multi Tool. That's some of the ways that I thought, hey, you know what, maybe we can make it better. Maybe you can bring it back up into the fray. Again, one more time, give it a Jack of all trades perk that gives it something like Rampage, something like Precision Instruments, that allows it to handle both minors and majors. Not the best by any means, but allow it to do it a little bit better. give it the ability to stagger all 3 champion types, unstoppable, overload, barrier, and then finally give it an osmosis type perk that will change the element of MIDA Multi Tool to whatever your subclass is, and then maybe also add some type of class ability regeneration to MIDA Multi Tool, right? Like, maybe something a little bit different than just 10% energy whenever you get a kill. Maybe something like for 5 seconds you get 300% class ability regeneration or something like that. But yeah, that is that's my thoughts on MIDA Multi Tool. That's the changes I want to see happen to it. That's the change that I think could potentially bring it back into the fray. But of course, I want your opinion. Sorry. I want your opinion. What do you think about my ideas and stuff here? Do you think they're good? Do you think that you have a better idea? If so, tell me down in the comments. Of course, if you liked today's video, drop a like. It helps the channel a lot. Subscribe for more daily Destiny content, and do me a favor, watch the videos that you see on the end screen here, because for whatever reason, YouTube thinks you'll like them. Guys, I'll see y'all next time. Bye for now.